POV, third person close black lens bracket. Charles convened the guests to the lobby. Meanwhile, Sue couldn't help but tremble with rage. She glared at Eddie for breaking their pact. She just wanted to pinch his head off. Now it has time for you guests to state your case to the killer once again through a recording. Please change and I'll call you one at a time to adjourn to the library, Charles stated. The guests went upstairs and changed into their formal clothes. 1 hour later. Everyone had finished their recordings. The killer sat at their lounge to score them. Recordings of everyone's statements. Note before you read the statements, these are snippets of the guests' recordings. And multiply next to a statement means the statement is incorrect or insufficient. Those with a lot of multiply have a high chance of getting a scared card and being murdered by the killer next. After the guests present their theory, they must guess who the killer is. Alfred from his recording What You Did to Poor Jacob. That was so wrong. RJ, you replaced his beautiful pajamas. Eddie, got in the grey socks that you left for us. Rod, you then pulled the fire alarm. Waited a couple seconds. Bernice, the carpet in his room was different from the carpets in the rest of the house. Alana, you coated Jacob's entire pajamas in benzene. Sue, that door had to be somehow a certain type of accelerant. Multiply. Liam, and then you also added the gift of a medallion from Saint Agatha. Athena, medallion that said Saint Agnes. Multiply. Eddie, protector of fire. Then, you signed it. Sleep tight. Lindsay, he must have thought that the pendant had something that might protect him. He put it on. Athena, Jacob didn't put the medallion on his neck. He put it in his pocket. Multiply. Miranda, what he didn't know was that running for the door was going to create the static electricity. Athena, gotten somehow, that medallion exploded. Multiply. Alana, he runs through the house. He jumps into the pool. Then, he dies by drowning. Multiply. Alfred, gotten what happens. Poof, Jacob goes up in flames. Eddie, he runs through the house as a flaming ball of fire. He jumps into the pool. Sue, gotten I suppose he drowned. Multiply. Alana, you can enjoy your murders there, Miranda. Miranda, Athena, you killed Jacob. Eddie, the killer must be. Athena, Bernice, it's you, Eddie. Sue, God, but remember this Athena, you're a very sick person. Athena, I believe that the killer is Rod. Rod, the killer is Liam. Liam, Rod, you better watch your back. Filled right pointing pointer. Open black lens bracket POV, Sue close black lens bracket. We were directed to the dining room for our second evening banquet. Every passing second into this dinner heightened my anxiety. Who knows what could happen to me after that ridiculous fiasco earlier? I blame Eddie. We formed a bond after exchanging information yesterday. I couldn't believe he just left me out to dry like that. Moments later, Charles walked into the dining room with a cart of sizzling fajitas. The least I can do is to provide you a hot meal. Charles exclaimed. Come on, that is so messed up. Athena replied. Too soon, he asked. Way too soon, the guests answered. Charles exited the banquet hall to grab his envelopes while everyone grabbed a fajita plate. So what did you guys think about the riddle? Alana asked the rest of the guests. Lindsay laughed. I tried lighting my flag on fire. The other guests gasped in disbelief. Miranda pointed out that the crest in the laundry had a pink stripe on it, Rod stated. The big crest on the door, Athena added. Oh, is that where they found it? I replied sarcastically. I grabbed that doorknob and that thing shocked the living daylights out of me. So why didn't you share that information with everybody? Athena complained. Well, here's the thing about that. If I hadn't been interrupted a million times while I was trying to get my theory together. Bernice interrupted, well, why did you have to be rude about it? You. Eddie interrupted Bernice, here, I'll answer for you, Rod. I rolled my eyes, ugh. Here we go. Rod patted Eddie's shoulder, ah yes, I'll have my attorney speak for me. In his defense, he did actually just say, would you mind giving us a minute, and you decided to just stand there and talk, Eddie answered. Alfred retorted, your 1 minute lasted for about 40 minutes. All you guys ever did was talk for as a group. Rod pointed to me and Bernice, that was not our plan until the both of you came up with your entitled attitudes. You told me to leave and I left, Bernice argued. No, okay, that's how you choose to remember it. It's not choosing to remember anything. You guys, it's a game and eventually, there's going to be one person standing. Alfred spoke softly. Charles re-entered the dining room with a grim look. My boiling anger soon turned into dismay. I do hate for your dinner to get cold, but the killer believes that one of you is on fire. He shouted. There was 3 seconds of utter silence. Eddie, congratulations. You impressed the killer the most. You are spared and you will live to see another day, Eddie gasped. I rolled my eyes in contempt. Eddie should have gotten the award for worst actor. He acted as if he didn't have to backstab his first teammate just to get information from Rod. Charles continued, as for the rest of you, listen carefully to how the killer played with fire and how Jacob got burned. He read the killer's murder story. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the hottest murder ever performed. Before he went to bed, Jacob got all warm and snuggly in his special flammable flannel pajamas, doused in high levels of odorless benzene. He even made sure his footsies were nice and cozy by putting on my special socks, different from the ones you were all wearing. Just before he hit the hay, Jacob found the little gift I left for him beside the lamp. It was a necklace from St. Agatha along with the note, protector of fire. Sleep tight. He slept tight all right, until I set off the fire alarm. That's when Jacob jumped out of bed, ran across the shag carpet in his special socks, and gathered up enough static electricity to set himself ablaze. The second he laid a finger on the metal doorknob, a measly spark turned into a raging fire. Where the crime finished is what made the biggest splash. Jacob ran down the stairs covered in flames, through the house, and finally dove into his watery grave where the promises of St. Agatha protecting him from fire were cruelly extinguished. Alas, Jacob perished from his severe burns. Warmest regards. Your killer. After hearing the murder story, I knew that my theory had several flaws. At this point, I could do nothing but pray for the best. Filled right pointing pointer. Open black lens bracket POV, third person close black lens bracket. Everyone opened their envelopes and revealed their cards. Rod spared. Lindsay spared. Alfred spared. RJ spared. Sue scared. Sue broke down in tears and looked Bernice in the eye. I don't wanna die. Bernice attempted to console her. I'm so sorry, Sue. I didn't mean for this to happen, Eddie apologized. Eddie, what's done is done. I don't wanna die holding a grudge against you, Sue sniffled. Miranda spared. Liam spared. Bernice spared. Athena scared. When Athena presented her scared card, most of the guests looked confused, thinking she was the killer. Alana spared. Filled right pointing pointer. Open black lens bracket POV, Sue close black lens bracket. It was currently 11:30 p.m. After we were dismissed from dinner, I was up for an hour wiping tears with tissues. I couldn't sleep at all knowing that I might leave my family and best friend behind. Every single noise startled me. I know Athena is the killer. Her strategy is to throw suspicion off of herself. That's what the scared card is all about. I know I'm dying next. Open black lens bracket POV, third person close black lens bracket. The time was currently 7:13 a.m. and fortunately, there were no deaths yet. Athena woke up from her bed, surprised that she was still alive. She opened her bedroom door and tiptoed downstairs for a quiet breakfast, remaining cautious of her surroundings. While the other guests were in their rooms, most of them still asleep, Athena enjoyed her cereal and sat in the breakfast room watching reality television. 30 minutes passed by and Athena was still watching television in peace. Until the show she was watching abruptly flickered to black and white footage. It was surveillance footage of Athena's every movement from the moment she woke up, almost as if she were being spied upon. The screen flickered again. What she saw next put her in so much panic that she dropped her bowl of cereal, shattering it on the ground. She ran outside the mansion to the field, hopped on a golf cart, and drove full speed ahead. A couple seconds later, the golf cart unexpectedly exploded, ferociously hurling Athena's charred body onto a tree. Alas, she encountered her doom. Filled right pointing pointer. Open black lens bracket POV, Eddie close black lens bracket. As I was in my room doing push-ups, I was suddenly disturbed by a strident, exploding noise. I jammed open my bedroom door, curious to see what it was. In my head, I was thinking Sue or Athena probably got murdered, which put me to worry. Did you guys hear that? Alfred and Bernice stormed out. The guests and I scurried downstairs to the pool area near the field to see the commotion. From a distance, we noticed a mass of black smoke in the air. Oh my God, what happened? Bernice shouted. Lindsay looked around. Wait a minute, Sue is here. So does that mean? Charles interrupted her. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid Athena has been killed. Holy crap, Liam groaned. The Avebury Manor is officially on lockdown. If you could all please return to your rooms and lock every door. Charles commanded. The guests and I went upstairs, got change, and stayed in our rooms until further notice. My heart was pounding and I felt traumatized from what I had just seen. I was overcome with guilt the moment Charles announced Athena's murder. I thought she was responsible for Heather and Jacob's murders, but it turned out she was innocent all along. I should have been more lenient with her. I shouldn't have spurned her. I just wish things were different. From this moment onward, I will be meticulous of every little detail to ensure the killer pays for what they had done. 1 hour later. The maids knocked on each of our doors instructing us to head downstairs to the parlor. We all convened to where Charles patiently waited. Ladies and gentlemen, the lockdown of the Avebury Manor has been lifted. I see that you've all changed your clothes. I do hope you slept well. I highly suspect otherwise, he said. So once again, you will investigate one of the following 3 areas. The crime scene, which in this case, is the back driveway, the victim's last known whereabouts, the breakfast small dining room, and finally, due to its deplorable condition, I'm afraid it's impossible to bring Athena's dead body down to the morgue, so you're going to have to investigate her dead body on the tree. Please make your decision and I will come back shortly. Charles exited the parlor. I approached my official teammates, Rod, Miranda, and Lindsay. Remember the things that have been important every time. It's how the killer got in, how they got out. Don't count on people at each zone to give you all the information, Rod told us. We nodded. I trusted Rod as he had been helpful and ambitious since the very beginning. Hopefully, he wasn't a killer. Is it too early to have a drink? Miranda jokingly remarked. Filled right pointing pointer. Open black lens bracket POV, third person close black lens bracket. Charles re-entered the parlor. Ladies and gentlemen, who would like to visit the makeshift mortuary where Athena's dead body lays? He asked. Alfred, Eddie, and Alana raised their hands and followed the first maid outside. Next, the victim's last known whereabouts, the breakfast room. Who would like to visit this area? Sue, Bernice, Miranda, and Lindsay raised their hands and followed the second maid. Liam whispered to Sue, eyes open, mouth closed. Remember that. Sue nodded. Finally, you three will visit the crime scene. Liam, Rod, and RJ followed Charles outside to the back driveway. Filled right pointing pointer. Open black lens bracket POV, RJ close black lens bracket. Location crime scene. Liam, Rod, RJ. There was caution tape surrounding the horrid scene, chunks of debris and a busted golf cart. The golf cart fragments barely provided any useful information. We all knew it came from an explosion. I picked up a large chunk of debris. Careful, some pieces may be hot, Liam warned. Rod looked around and noticed a large cut-off branch perpendicular to the gate of the driveway. This branch looks like it was placed here on purpose. It doesn't look like it had fallen off, Rod suggested. So, Athena was driving the golf cart toward the gate but this large branch was in the way, so she has to swerve, I said. Bingo, the killer probably wanted the golf cart to be at a specific spot, he responded. Look at the golf cart seat, Liam pointed. He took it out and turned it around. I noticed a sliver of the plastic lining under the seat had been removed and it makes some sort of hinge. This part underneath was cut out by the killer, I said. You're right. At first I thought that was from the explosion, but now it looks like a cut to move the seat over and place some sort of bomb underneath. Eddie replied. I then conducted a 360 search of the crime scene. To my delight, I discovered another clue, a large pole with a video camera attached on top of it. However, it was too high to reach, so I used my strength to tear the pole down. Whoa, what do we have here? Liam asked. It looks like this camera took some damage from the explosion, I pointed out. Here's some other pieces, some red glass and more wire. Rod held out the pieces in his hand. The killer set that camera to watch Athena and to find out when it was best to detonate the bomb, Liam suggested. Seems about right. Open black lens bracket POV, Miranda close black lens bracket. Location last known whereabouts, Bernice, Lindsay, Sue, Miranda. We followed the maid to the doors of the breakfast room, however, we noticed that the doorknobs were locked tight with chains. These chains, did the killer lock Athena in the breakfast room? Bernice questioned. Probably. Luckily, these chains are easy to remove, Lindsay said. She easily untied the chains and we were able to enter the breakfast room. Inside, a shattered bowl of cereal and a spoon on the ground caught our attention. That's weird. I wonder why Athena dropped her bowl of cereal, Lindsay said. She knelt down to examine it. She was watching television. What came on the TV that made her drop her cereal? A couple seconds later, Sue gasped and pointed to the television. Look, the TV screen is flickering to surveillance of Athena. What the hell? The fact that the killer spied on her every move made me shudder. The screen flickered again. It changed to a disturbing message with large, red words. The message read, "You must drive away from property if you want to live." Oh my goodness. So that's what made her drop her cereal, Bernice exclaimed. That is so creepy, I replied. We searched around the area to trace for more clues. Lindsay and I noticed that there was a huge footprint mark on the door we entered, the same door locked with chains. This footprint, I think Athena tried kicking open these doors, Lindsay suggested. I remarked, damn, so she was locked in there, but wait. Although the side doors of the breakfast room were locked, I noticed that the back doors were completely open. It was as if the killer wanted her to exit through those doors. Guys, did you notice that the side doors are locked but the back doors are just left completely wide open? Plus, it leads to the field and the back driveway where all the smoke was. Holy crap, you're right. So, That must mean the killer must have wanted Athena to exit to the driveway, Bernice added. Filled right pointing pointer. Open black lens bracket POV. Alana close black lens bracket. Location makeshift morgue. Eddie, Alfred, Alana, the three of us arrived to the makeshift morguery where Athena's corpse laid. Although her death was tragic, her corpse was so abhorrent to look at. It was nothing but burnt flesh and puddles of blood. Oh, Athena, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. I sniffled. What's that in her hand? Eddie pointed to an item in Athena's charred hand. I guess I'll just go in and reach for it, Alfred said. He grabbed a hold of some kind of remote control. What do you think this remote does? I asked the other two. I have no clue. Maybe it unlocks the gate of the driveway. The same driveway where the explosion occurred, Eddie responded. A few moments later, Alfred pulled me aside attempting to keep Eddie out of our conversation. She's not burned very much on her hands. It's just black. There are severe burns on the back of her legs. It seems like blistering, he whispered. Yeah, but look, these. Alfred interrupted. Shush, don't say anything. Eddie might hear us. I nodded in agreement. It became obvious that the game has changed. It was one side versus the other. Eddie, Lindsay, Miranda, and Rod decided to keep us out of their group, and if they still wanted to do that, then so be it. I noticed that Eddie was drawing closer to us, so Alfred and I shifted further away from him. As we continued to whisper to each other, Eddie spent the rest of the time in silence. Filled right pointing pointer. Open black lens bracket POV. Eddie close black lens bracket. A couple minutes after the investigation, I reconvened with my team upstairs. The four of us headed to Rod's room to gather our information. Rod immediately locked the door for privacy. Alright, let's talk about what we found. Why don't we start with the last known? Rod suggested. There were chains and sneaker prints on the entrance door of the breakfast room. She was trying to kick the door down but it was locked, Miranda replied. She and Lindsay continued to explain their findings. How about you, Eddie? She was slumped over the tree and it seemed like she was holding a device in her hand, a remote control or some kind of gate opener, but it was busted. Her hands were charred but the major burns were on her legs. There was blood and burn marks everywhere, I answered. Oh, here's the other thing. People are no longer pointing things out to each other. It was so obvious that Alfred and Alana were trying to isolate me for most of the time. They were whispering things to each other and Alfred was telling Alana to keep her voice down. Filled right pointing pointer. Open black lens bracket POV. Liam close black lens bracket. I invited Alfred, Sue, Bernice, Alana, and RJ to my room upstairs and locked the door. RJ initiated the conversation. We will work together. If we decide to work together and somebody runs to the other group, there's going to be a problem for the next couple of days. Oh, I was totally burned. I'm not going to say a word to them, Sue groaned. I have an idea. They've got a group of 4. Let's plant some doubt on one of their teammates, I suggested. How do you think we should do that? Alfred asked. Bernice's face lit up as she turned to Alana. Maybe we can have Alana befriend Lindsay. I know Lindsay, she seemed pliable since the beginning. I nodded. Bernice, you're a genius. So all you have to do, Alana, is to let Eddie, Miranda, and Rod see you be very friendly with Lindsay. It doesn't matter if she shares information. Just go be her best friend and make sure those 3 see it. If this plan succeeds, Eddie, Miranda, and Rod will become dubious of Lindsay's intentions, possibly causing her to change teams. Our plan is now set in motion. Open black lens bracket POV, LINZIE close black lens bracket. After my team had a private discussion, I walked downstairs to where Alana approached me. Hey Lindsay, do you want to play some chess? I have a couple of things to tell you anyway. I agreed, despite the fact that I was slightly skeptical of her intentions. The two of us sat down at a table in the living room and set down a chessboard. So our group is kind of out of proportion, but RJ noticed something going on with your team as well. He was saying that he thinks you're their pawn, Alana murmured. Go on, I replied. Godden, like the other group's plan is to do as much with you as possible and then burn you. Yeah, I was kinda reluctant to join Rod's team in the first place, but I needed the information. RJ said he won't trust you any longer if you remain on their side. Even though Rod declared me to be on his team, I had a mutual understanding with RJ and Alana. I promised to watch their backs if they promised to watch mine. I answered, if I'm going to have you and RJ's back, it sucks if you don't have mine. The people I trust the most are the people I'm clinging to right now. A few seconds later, Miranda approached us with a raised eyebrow. How's it going? She asked, chewing her gum. Things are going good. How are you? Alana replied. I'm okay, just chilling. Do you want to stop playing? I'm kinda getting bored, I laughed. We stood up from our chairs and Alana made a hidden gesture telling me to follow her upstairs. I secretly headed upstairs to meet her and RJ. Hey, please keep watching my back, I whispered in RJ's ear. I told Lindsay the truth. You and the rest of our group are not trusting her right now because she's hanging out in Rod's team, Alana said to RJ. I trust you both the most here. I don't fully trust Rod and his team, I whispered to them. I'm gonna head downstairs before Bernice gets angry, Alana said. RJ and I were left alone. Screw Rod, Eddie, and Miranda, let's see what we can do, RJ told me. Yes, I admit to playing both sides, but this is a competition where information is golden. Without it, you're practically waiting for your time to come. Thus, I'm going to stick around with the people who have the most information. I'm kind of on the fence with you, Lindsay, but I have a plan. I'm going to get all the vital information and give it to you the last second so that you are unable to tell the other three in your group. Filled right pointing pointer. Open black lens bracket POV, Bernice close black lens bracket. It all came down to the riddle. If we wanted to sink the boat of Rod's team, just one of us in the group needed to solve the riddle. As all of us sat upstairs patiently waiting for instructions, we started to hear Charles's footsteps. He held a large bomb with a fuse attached to it. The bomb looked like it was about to detonate. Watch out, it's going to explode, Liam shouted as he quickly backed away. My dear guests, the killer has left an important message for you. Although the bomb emitted smoke, it didn't actually explode. It was a faux bomb that was just a part of the riddle. Thank goodness. Charles opened the bomb, revealing several golf balls and a note inside. Charles read the note. You screamed your heads off. You closed your eyes. What you viewed as a bomb was actually death in disguise. Reach inside, take a golf ball. Search for the clue, mortals, but that's not all. All of us reached inside the bomb to grab a golf ball. Every golf ball had the words, 13 steps, written on it. I had no idea what that meant, but I headed to the parlor downstairs to where the killer set up a row of old computers. I attempted to turn one on, however, there was no response from the monitor. The 13 steps on the golf ball bewildered me. All of a sudden, I recalled a clue earlier from the breakfast nook. I remembered that there was a back door that led to the field of the mansion and to the staircase of the driveway. I dashed to the breakfast room and noticed that Miranda was not far behind. We rushed outside to the staircase and counted each individual stair. There were exactly 13 steps as written on the golf ball. A replica of the golf cart, the one Athena died in, stood directly in front of that staircase. Inside the replica laid hidden remotes that contained another riddle. Miranda and I grabbed the remote and read aloud the riddle attached to it. It was a click of a button that killed our guest. And here's one final request. Dig for surveillance tapes in an outside trash bin. Don't get played by the clue within. I think the remote Athena held at the morgue detonated the bomb. Let's be sure. Where's the outside bin? Miranda questioned. She and I headed to the outside entrance of the parlor attempting to locate the trash bin. Soon later, we found the bin and there were a bunch of videotapes inside. Each of us grabbed a tape and headed to the old computers inside the parlor. I inserted my tape inside a computer. The message, "Try again," popped up. It was printed in large, red words. Filled right pointing pointer. Open black lens bracket POV. RJ close black lens bracket. Bernice handed me a videotape she obtained from the large trash bin. Unfortunately, everyone's screens had nothing but the words, "Try again," on their monitors. Maybe there was only one specific tape that worked. A few minutes of pondering passed by and I recall the last part of the riddle, "Do not get played by the clue within." That's when I started to open the tape and there was yet another riddle inside. Liam, Alfred, and Lindsay glanced over my shoulder as I read the riddle. It's hot because heat rises. And empty because of its small sizes. Seek where I hide, tee-hee-hee. Everything is black and white, click and see. I snapped my fingers, is there a balloon around here? There are balloons on the painting of my room, Alfred remarked. As we rushed upstairs to his room, I got a feeling that something was off. What was something that was hot because heat rises and empty because of its small sizes? It was definitely not a hot air balloon. Brainstorming a few moments later, a specific room popped up inside my mind, the attic. I sprinted out of Alfred's room and towards the attic upstairs. Lindsay and Bernice followed me in shock, but it wasn't long until I opened the door to the attic and the estate bell rang. Filled right pointing pointer. Location attic, RJ. After locking the attic door, I noticed a small television with surveillance footage of the golf cart. It was the same footage from the camera pole that Rod, Liam, and I discovered at the crime scene. The TV abruptly flickered to words printed in large, red writing, "Press the bomb button on the TV remote." I found a large remote in the drawer and pressed the red spongy button. The footage clicked over to the golf cart explosion. That's when I knew. The killer was sitting in the attic watching Athena hop inside the golf cart and click the bomb button on their special remote, causing her to explode into 1,000 pieces, unlike everyone else who thought Athena exploded because she, herself, clicked the remote. I'm not going to make the same mistake the last time I solved the riddle to Heather's death. I carefully thought about how I was going to utilize this information as I turned off the television in the attic and headed downstairs. Filled right pointing pointer. Open black lens bracket POV, Miranda close black lens bracket. Eddie, Rod, and I convened in the hallway of the living room. Do you think that if we went to plead our case to RJ, he would give us what he saw in the attic? I joked. Well, he wouldn't give it to me, that's for sure, Rod responded. Do you think Lindsay will be able to get it? Rod shrugged. She was acting a bit weird. I'm already thinking that Lindsay was kind of wavering. She seemed to hold some of her information back. Yeah, I don't know. Let's find her and see what's going on, Eddie suggested. I headed to the parlor and to my surprise, Lindsay was with RJ's group. Why the hell is she over there? I thought. I caught a glimpse of Alana's glare when I attempted to confront her. Lindsay, can you take Miranda away so that we can talk about this? Just like how you guys sent us away, can you send Miranda away? She grumbled. Alana's pettiness put me to laughter. Alana, you're allowed to talk to me. You can directly ask me to walk away. Okay Miranda, can you walk away please? Yeah, I'm a human. You are allowed to speak to me, not through Lindsay. Wow, I did not know that. I rolled my eyes at Alana and left Lindsay to her own devices. At this point, I wanted nothing to do with Lindsay since she betrayed our team.